exact things, but I know that there are people that I got interested in birds who have gone on to do conservation work. And there are times when I'll do something like going to give a program someplace, and instead of being paid as a speaker, I'm giving a speaker fee to the organization so they can use it for their conservation work.
Are there any interesting facts about you that most people don't know?
Yeah, I hope so. What about? I don't know if it's worth knowing that in junior high school I was elected student council president, and then like a week and a half later I got kicked out of school for a few days because I was causing trouble. So I was sort of a good student, but not all the time. And the other thing is that I don't talk about it that much, but I really like history. And if I'm not reading about nature, I'll be reading about world history.
Do you have your own way of classifying birds?
Well, it sort of depends on what you mean by classifying. The scientists are constantly sort of reclassifying the birds. They look at the DNA and they sort of shift things around and say, well, the snow bunting is actually not related to the sparrows, it's related to the warblers. Things like that don't seem to make sense. But I like to look at the divisions among the populations within birds. So with something like a red-tailed hawk or song sparrow, if you go someplace else, the song sparrows look different. Like on the Pacific coast, they're much darker and larger than the ones here, and that's kind of neat to see how they vary from one place to another. But then if you look closely at the birds, like here, no two individuals are exactly alike. I like to look at those and just think about, it makes the individuals seem more important.
How many books have you written?
About 12. I'm using that as an answer these days. It's about 12 books. With several of those, I had co-authors who wrote part of the text, but it's about a dozen now, and I'm not counting the ones where I just wrote like one or two chapters for somebody else's book.
Plus, how many have been translated into different languages?
Oh yeah. The basic North American Bird Guide has been translated into Spanish. Mm-hmm. And then two of my books, Kingbird Highway and Flights Against the Sunset, those have both been translated into Swedish.
Go figure.
Yeah. Which is funny because the Swedish birders I've met all speak English better than I do. But they still translated the book.
Are they all nonfiction?
The books are mostly nonfiction, except in that Flights Against the Sunset. It's a bunch of essays, and most of those are true stories about things that happened, but there are also some fictional stories in the book, including like talking about running into a motorcycle gang of birders and running into birders who were actually international spies and things like that. I made those up, but most of the stories in there are true.
And what is your spark bird?
I had trouble with that question. A lot of people, there was like one bird in one instant that really got them excited, and usually it'll be something spectacular like a scarlet tanager or an eagle or something like that got them excited. For me, when I first started trying to figure out what the birds were, the first ones I was working on were these blackbirds that were walking around on the lawn, and it took me like 3 weeks to totally work out the difference between starlings and grackles. So you could say the starlings and grackles were my spark birds.
Actually, I was telling Lily about my spark bird, and I actually have a picture of the bird.
Wow, a picture of the individual.
Yes, and my parents had built a house on what had been a cow pasture, and the lot next to it didn't get built on for a number of years, so it started, just going on its own. And there was a apple tree about 3 feet tall, and I was walking by it, and all of a sudden this bird started dive bombing me. It was a redwing. So I lied down on the ground, face up, and it kept flying around me, and I took the picture, and I still have that picture.
Wow, that is great. Hardly anyone has got a picture of their spark bird. That's great. That, I mean, Red Wing is, that's better than, Starling or Crackle.
Do we have a picture of a snowy owl? The one that we saw?
Oh, yeah, but you can't.
You can't tell.
Lily, when she was in preschool, we were driving into Bowling Green right by the airport, and I saw a snowy owl there. I didn't have a camera at the time.
So was that your spark bird? Wow, what a great one. That totally outclasses his red-winged blackbird and my
she couldn't really see it very well, but she knew how. When I stopped, like, whoa,
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's so great. That ghostly white bird out there, knowing that it's come down from the.
Yeah, I took a picture of one last winter by my house, and was out in the field, and people were like, you can't see it, and you could just barely see the two little white eyes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I didn't get out of the car because I didn't want to scare it, but I think, in hindsight, I'm like, well, if I got out of the car and took a picture, people would have really known what it was instead of like, what?
Yeah, but you knew what it was. So.
Yeah. Anyways.
Great.
But I'm not going to even bother asking how many birds you have on your list.
Oh, yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, I think keeping a life list is a great thing to do when you're getting started. When people are just getting started in something. Because when looking at the list, you're thinking about what you've seen and what you haven't seen. And you can sort of make comparisons and look forward to things. But after a while, I just sort of lost interest in keeping a list. So I love to see new things, but I love to see the same birds over again.
Yeah, because you can kind of tell if you've seen that bird before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know which ones I've seen, I just don't know how many it adds up to.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Okay, and is this for a school project?
Yeah, science project, and the option was a biography, and we thought, and most people are just going to do researching, but we figured we knew a science, whatever you want to call it,
Okay. Well, thanks. Well, I appreciate that. Do you need any kind of information about the books or anything, or?
We looked up. Yeah, she went on Wikipedia and a couple other things. So she's done some research in that sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully she'll get first prize. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great. Well, I really appreciate it, and good luck with. I hope you get a good grade on the project. Just for curiosity's sake, what's the